Your ability to see someone's autism is not what makes them autistic or what makes them deserving of your acceptance and understanding. As I've been learning more about autism in an effort to better understand myself, I've noticed some problematic things happening within the autistic community that I think need to be addressed. As a late diagnosed autistic adult who was, and to a large extent still is, highly masking, I severely suffered the consequences of that high masking. And since recognizing that many of the challenges I faced were due to being autistic, it's been really challenging for me to accept that label for myself. On top of that, having a diagnosis and a reason for experiencing some of the challenges I face does not make those challenges go away. Think of it like this. If you're standing outside and you're wet and you're trying to figure out why, acknowledging that it's raining won't make it stop raining, and it won't make you any less wet. It's the same thing for an autism diagnosis. Getting a diagnosis won't make your experience in the world any different. It will give you answers to why you're having that experience, but it won't make any of those challenges go away. There are still huge societal stigmas around autism because there's a general lack of awareness and misunderstanding of what autism is in large underdiagnosed populations. There are so many people in the spotlight, characters in movies and shows who are autistic and display autistic traits, but they're not labeled as autistic. Those people and characters are generally quirky and can be endearing, while their differences are typically accepted and even lightly joked about without the autistic label. This means that the only people who are labeled autistic in our society are often lower masking and have less socially acceptable traits, so they don't blend in with normal society, as well as those of us who are highly masking. This is what makes it so challenging for those of us with level 1 autism or who are high masking to be accepted both outside of and within the autistic community. We are often seen as not autistic enough to be accepted by the autistic community and not normal enough to be accepted by the non-autistic community. One of my goals is to create that space and community for those of us who feel like we don't fit anywhere else. I've often felt extremely isolated and alone in my experiences, and I know I'm not alone in feeling that way. So if you want to meet other people who are like you, click the link in the description to join the Neurodivergent Network. That is a free community where you can network and get support from other people who are like you, and I will be officially launching that very soon. So what I want to address today are the stigmas and ostracism that exist within the autistic community. People who are self-diagnosed, have level 1 autism, or who are probably autistic but feel more comfortable with the label HSP, otherwise known as highly sensitive person, are often criticized, ostracized, and talked down to by the autistic community, making them feel further dejected and as though they don't belong. Recent studies show that 1 in 4 children with autism go undiagnosed, which means there's a lot of teens and adults out there who are struggling with autism without any help or support. I was one of them, so I know intimately how hard it is to look normal while simultaneously being labeled as weird and to be struggling tremendously with life, not knowing why, not fitting in, and feeling as if there's something wrong with me. For many people who are women, people of color, low income, and or other marginalized populations such as Indigenous or LGBTQ+ people, it's extremely hard to get an accurate diagnosis. And for many of us who belong to those populations and are autistic, an official diagnosis can be difficult or nearly impossible to get for a multitude of reasons. Here's the important part. Having an official diagnosis is not what makes someone autistic. Having autism is what makes them autistic. And if we know there are many people out there who do not have an official diagnosis, their first step to a diagnosis will very likely be self-diagnosis or finding and relating to the label of HSP. Remember that it's not popular or easy to identify as autistic. So it's really unlikely there are a bunch of people out there who are self-diagnosing themselves without actually having autism. it's much more likely that the self-diagnosed community are people who have autism and are struggling to figure out who they are and how they fit into this world. And through self-diagnosis, they've found an answer they think fits. So let me ask you this. What's more harmful? Accidentally accepting someone who is self-diagnosed but isn't actually autistic? Or marginalizing someone from a community they belong to when they don't belong anywhere else and they're just searching for answers? I would argue the latter is significantly more harmful and carries far more consequences than the former. Let's look at this from another perspective. Take the LGBTQ plus community as an example. This community is generally seen as very accepting, and they are welcoming to support from people who are both within and outside of that community. But imagine if it was really common for that community to reject people who are questioning their sexuality or their gender. If you were made to feel that you needed to pass some arbitrary threshold to be gay enough to be accepted, or if a doctor had to agree with your self-identification of being gay for you to be a part of that community. If that were the case, would it be easy for people to feel like they belong to that community? Would it be easy for those who are outside of that community to support them? No. And hopefully you can see how ridiculous that would be. If the autistic community is looking for more support, awareness, and acceptance from the general population, we should strive to be more like the LGBTQ plus community. We should be more accepting and welcoming of those who feel like they might belong, because we know there are people out there who do belong. A doctor just hasn't figured that out yet. Just because someone's struggle looks different than yours or is less public or less visible to you doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. At the end of the day, we all want to be seen and accepted and feel like we belong. And the first step to finding that for yourself is doing that for other people. So if you don't feel seen, make someone else feel seen. If you don't feel accepted, make someone else feel accepted. And if you feel like you don't belong, make someone else feel like they belong. We should all be friends in this fight, not enemies. All of us face our own challenges and struggles, and we need to stop comparing and weighing those struggles within our own community. Please be respectful and please share what you think in the comments, because I think that this is a really important topic within the autistic community. If you like this video, I share weekly content about mental health and personal development from the neurodivergent perspective. So if that sounds interesting to you, please give me a follow and check out this next video.